What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio, transmitting from the future free state of Greater Idaho. I am the one-armed madman. And with me tonight, we have got Michaell Magrutsch. Mike.
Hey, Nick. How are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. How are we doing tonight?
We're still alive. I always say when somebody asks me, hey, I'm still alive.
Right on. So I wanted to talk with you a little bit about motorcycles, and we'll get into some art here a little bit later. But why don't you tell me about how you got started with motorcycles? I looked through your site, and you were on a really cool Bull Taco back in the day. Those, man.
Yeah.
Good luck getting a hold of something like that, right?
Yeah. You know, it was so funny. My first, you beat me, but I started with 10 years old. I was a sick child. And I couldn't do anything in school. So I have really no education. I'm all self-taught because I couldn't understand. I'm dyslexic and dysgraphia. I have dysgraphia, so hand-eye coordination. So when I was 10, so I was always more interested in humans than actually being system relevant. And because I couldn't, even if I wanted to be an accountant, I couldn't. Yeah. So I with your buddies, what is the best thing to connect, art or motorcycles? I mean, it's just something creative. And I bought from a postman. That was 40 years ago or something, or over 40 years ago. I bought from a postman a worn out postal moped for $15. And I said to my dad, I said, at that time, it's probably 100 now. It would be 150 now. But at that time, it was $15. And I said to my dad, hey, I want a motorcycle. And my dad said, yeah, you can go in the factory and earn it. And so I always had to earn my keeps. So I went to the factory and did my work, whatever I could do at that time. And so I earned myself $150. So I got the postal mopeds. And the first thing I did is I take a hacksaw and cut off the fender. That was the first thing I did. I think I didn't even write it before. I said, I can't write this shit. I need to cut the fender off.
Yeah.
10 years old,
Yeah.
And so I cut, and then you see, when you see the pictures, you see me in that jumping with that bike when I was like 12 or something on a hill, And from then on, I was into the motorcycle. I loved putting a different carburetor on and seeing the effect of my creation, to feel, oh my God, I did something and it had an effect. Put a different exhaust on it. It was loud. People were pissed off, but you had impact. It's like you instantly had impact, whatever you did. And so I was very much looking at motorcycle, and they did trials then, the Bull Taco that you mentioned. They did a lot of trials, and a friend of mine was a semi-professional trial rider. So he had sponsors and everything. And also he had relationships to companies where we got a good discount on a new Bull Taco and all that stuff. So, I had to work, I think, a year and a half to get that, but I got it brand new. And it was so unbelievable. The feeling of that, you earned it. And then I did trial, races and stuff. And I was hooked. I never wanted a car. It's weird because my group bought when we were like 16 and you can't even drive a car. We had this old road where we could drive, and we got an old Skoda. Also for like I think $500 or something, and then we screwed around, and the head gasket was blown, and we just did that dirt road, and we learned how to drift and all that stuff. But it was more broken than it worked. But it was just the camaraderie that you create when you together work on something and you see the effect of what it has. It's the same as art.
Yeah. There's something really beautiful about the relationship between man and machine on a motorcycle. you know, people that have never ridden don't really understand what they're riding. You know,
Yeah,
they don't understand how difficult it is. Oh, it's got a motor and stuff like that. But, you know, when you watch like Supercross or outdoor
yeah,
motocross and watch these guys really grease it, these bikes are so good nowadays that they're not even putting their foot out most of the time in
yeah,
the turns. They're able to stay up on the pegs.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's really something else what they're able to do. Um,
And
yeah.
it's not about the riding, Nick, it's not about the riding. I think what's missing today is you buying a, like you say, you buy a bike, you don't have to put your foot out.
Mhm.
So it's more the machine is more doing the job that you, but in our time, I know that postal moped, when I jumped, the fork, flattened out. I mean, the fender broke, the tires broke. It was so, you had to do a lot of human things to make it work. And I think it's gone. Today you buy a thing, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Literally, it literally.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not much you have to do to them. I mean, if you're a top pro, you still got to do a lot of stuff. But for
Yeah,
the average person, I mean, they're all electric start now. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
fuel injection. So you're doing mapping on a computer instead of having to jerk around with your
yeah,
carburetor.
yeah.
You know, so as an art guy, what do you think of the way bikes are looking these days?
I say they're like cars. They are like a piece of art. I don't think I think, see, this is what, because I'm always an artist my life. So I know, and I love my friends sleep in the car, because they love art so much. They can, and I wrote my last book, Smart of Art, because 97 to 99% of artists are poor in the world, on the poverty line. That they survive it, but not much money. And the greatest thing is what I think is it, I call cars and motorcycles customized. I call them like functional art. It just, you can ride it. And sometimes they're so souped up, the Chicano cars and all that stuff. They're so, you can hardly ride them, motorcycles too. I mean, they lower the Harley so low that you can't even go to, I mean, you can go in California, but if you go to San Francisco, you can't ride it anymore because the hills, it would scrape them. But I think what it is today, it became, and the whole accessory market, as drag specialties and all these stores, you can really individualize your motorcycle like your essence. You can do it like an artwork. I say like a business or an artwork is an extension of you.
Absolutely.
And it's your essence, and your essence is reflected in that motorcycle. Otherwise, every motorcycle would look the same. Every Harley would look the same, and it's an expression of you. And that allows the whole motorcycle market that it became, that you asked me about, has become that extension of individual humans can actually make their reflection in that bike,
Yeah. I my co-host on our normal, we do a just the two of us
Yeah,
once a week,
yeah,
and I do interviews as well. He's a mechanic for Harley Davidson, and I've been telling him, save up all your money, buy a bike that you want to build, and then put that thing on Instagram, put it out there.
yeah,
Somebody's gonna buy it, and then you'll be able to buy, build another bike. I think
yeah,
Instagram and social media in general has been one of the greatest things for bike builders because
yeah,
it was so hard. I mean, how many bikes a year can really get on the cover of a magazine?
yeah,
There's
yeah,
very few that do that. But now with Instagram, you have your own magazine that you can
yeah,
show off what, I'm not super impressed with um the factory bikes like I don't think Harley's putting out great looking bikes. I think Indian's putting out some decent
yeah,
looking bikes. Ducati's putting out some decent
yeah,
looking bikes. The Japanese bikes I'm not impressed with. I've never really been impressed with that type of bike, but the private builders are really going to town in the last few years.
yeah, yeah. And they can go to them because they're not a company. They're not a factory that needs to pump them out. The factory looks like Harley Davidson looks, what is trending? Okay, a sissy bar in this way, and you can fold that, the new seat, all these new seats that you can make double seats of. They can do all that stuff, but they look at what is trending and then they make it. But we are 8 billion people, and everybody is unique, has the different DNA, different eyes, different fingerprints. So we all want something unique. And I think a little store, or like your friend, they just can create that or help creating that, even if you're not a mechanic,
Yeah, I think I've complained about SUVs for years. I think SUVs today are all designed off of like the early 2000s Cadillac Escalade. I think every car company looked at that car and said, we need to do that. And they're kind
Yeah.
of still stuck in that model. Big chrome grills, all big chrome bumpers. And
Yeah.
I really don't like it. And I think the motorcycle industry has kind of gone down like I would say like a Blade Runner type of route, where we're going to
Yeah.
make this new, science fiction looking thing. I think especially with the electric bikes, the new electric bikes coming out are all trying to be futuristic. We're going to have all these weird hard edges and panels where there shouldn't be, or maybe, engine covers or some weird type of stuff. But what do you think about electric bikes?
I hate them. I hate him. You know why I hate him? Because we are so good. Finally, we come get a combustion engine, and the cars as well as motorcycles, where we really get them, environmentally friendly. They take little gas. They can go a long way. You can tank them everywhere.
Put the muffler in your mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you can't, these bikes, first of all, they're too quiet.
Yeah.
I don't like a motorcycle, a car. I don't like loud, but a motorcycle, I gotta hear him, because I stopped motorcycling like 2 years ago because people don't look. They are on antidepressants. They don't look. And I love motorcycling, off-roading, but on the street, it just got too, I gotta say, I didn't have a lot of accidents. I had like 2 or so where I was sliding just off or something, but I don't want to, I don't want to, I have to knock on wood. I have to, and that's why I stopped, because it just was so dangerous so often, where issues were happening where I had absolutely I was going behind, had the right distance and everything, and people just don't lock. And if I'm all of a sudden see something coming back at me from the side, I have no clue where that came from, So I stopped with this, but I did what you asked me about the electric bikes. They're quiet, and like you pegged it right away. You said they are, they look futuristic. They're all matte, black and black. There's no color, there's no chrome. They're just and basically for me that is like a bicycle, electric bicycle, basically.
I call them scooters. I think they're all scooters essentially. Motorcycle has a drivetrain and an engine and a transmission.
Exactly.
Like these things are scooters. They're just electric. I think that really they're bad for the industry in general. I mean, in motorcycle industry, we're all riding 4-strokes today because of a couple of people in California in the 90s that decided we need to do something about emissions. So let's take it out on the dirt bike riders.
Yeah.
And now we're all riding 4-strokes. And I am afraid that they're doing that same thing. In California, you're not going to be able to ride out in SVRA or public land here pretty soon on even a 4-stroke. That was the whole deal with the 4-strokes. They told you, hey, buy this 4-strokes. You can go out in the trails. You can race all you want. No problem. And we all bought the 4-strokes. It's now, I was looking up the price of a 4-stroke dirt bike today. A 250F today is a KTM is going for like almost $13,000.
Yeah, but KTM is extremely. I'm from Austria. I'm from Austria.
Yeah,
it's a high price. The marketing is like Ducati. It's like a high price thing, And Boel, I see that yours is a Boel. I love that motorcycle, but they are not anymore, right? They're just they're done.
Yeah, it was these Buells, these are done too. This was my San Francisco bike here. I lived in San Francisco for 5 years, and this was my second bike in San Francisco. But I'll tell you, the best bike to have in San Francisco is a dirt bike with street tires. I had a DRZ 400 for a couple of years, and I would go screaming through the park at night after getting off on the bar on that thing. And man, I'll tell you what, that was fun. All right.
Yeah,
So,
I know. Yeah, I had a KTM 250 when I was in Austria still, and I drove to school. I didn't have a license. I wasn't old enough, and it was the loudest motocross, two-stroke motocross. And I drove to school with it, like for 14 miles or 15 miles to school in traffic and everything. But damn, was that fun. It was so fun.
you
You-
know, we had these in the early 2000s. I was in high school, and pit bikes like little XR Z50s became really
Yeah,
popular at the motocross track, and they're still popular today,
yeah,
even more so than then. But at that time, they had become really popular. And in the town I was living in Northern California, I think in California in general, there was no
yeah.
law saying you couldn't ride one of those 50s. The law
Mhm.
was 49 cc's and below is a moped, so you can ride it in
Yeah,
the bike lane. So we had these bikes, and we start riding them to school, and the cops are just flipping out on us. We've got the laws printed out and taped to our
yeah.
bar pad so we can read them their own laws, but they just lost their damn minds over this thing, and they finally
Mhm.
put in some city code saying we weren't allowed to do them. I think now today you would be voted as a hero for environmentalism.
Yeah.
So
No,
based
and
on that, you built a lot of little mopeds. I was checking them out on your site. Tell me about those things.
okay, so I had a divorce, lost everything. They stole my car, everything at the same time. So all of a sudden, from living normal, middle class life to zero. I mean, literally dumped to zero. I had a job, but I still, and I didn't go far. I didn't have to go far. So I was like, damn, what am I gonna do? See, that's the artist in me. I was like thinking, what am I gonna do? I didn't want for an answer. I just asked the question, what am I gonna do? And one day I woke up and say, fuck it, let's do let's see what's going on. I go on eBay, find these Chinese motors for 150 bucks.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna build that thing into a bicycle. I get a Schwinn for 100 bucks, get $150, put that in. And it was the horror because those Chinese motors were falling apart.
Yeah.
I think I ruined and I was careful because I needed it to go to work. But I was like, I think I had 3 or 4 of those 2-strokes I bought till I found the guy that gave me the 4-stroke with a drum drive. So the drum hits the tire and it pushes the tire. So you don't even need to do some fancy chain work and stuff. And that was the best, but they stole that
Oh
twice.
no.
Because it had it chained on right next to my bedroom. They stole it, and I wasn't living in a shady neighborhood or anything. People loved to see me drive with it, and I said, and I got so many people hitting me up and said, "How did you do it? Where did you buy this?" I could have had a shop made out of this, a side business, but I was so busy
Yeah.
with my thing, I didn't want to do it. But every second, but I said, "Oh my God." I went to parties, right to park in front of the entrance and just put this bike here and went in. I didn't have to stay in line. I mean, it was the greatest from having a car. I had a Honda Accord to having that bike. I don't have to look for a parking spot, no registration, no anything. And I got the same as you. I got hit by cops because I drove like a bicycle. I drove it on a because I didn't want to go on a highway or on a thing because it isn't fast enough. So I drove on the pavement on the sidewalk, and cops kept stopping me all the time. So guess how I solved that? I got a driver's license for a moped. I went to the DMV and registered the thing. I give them the number and everything. I give them they said frame. I mean, the DMV doesn't know. It says frame number, motor number, serial number. What is the motor make of this thing? I filled it all out. I got a $9 plate at that time. It was like, when I was 15 years ago or so, or longer. And I got a plate, and I put that plate right on my bike. Never was stopped again. Never. Before I was stopped all the time. They saw the plate, the moped plate, and I was good. And they were great. These bikes were a fun thing to do. And the 4-stroke were literally like a motorcycle because you didn't get dirty. You have very little gas, and they started right away. You know, as a pull start, boom, it was awesome. I can't. The 4-stroke, yes, worked, but the 2-stroke were a headache.
Yeah, people ride those things around. I live outside of Boise, and people ride them around everywhere. They're kind of being overtaken by electric bikes now because
Yeah,
all over the place.
Yeah.
I don't mind the electric bicycles as much as the dirt bikes because that's a little easier for me to swallow. All right, so how about some art questions here?
Go
I
ahead.
lived in San Francisco, like I said, for 5 years.
Yeah.
You write about like placing public art. What do you think of the art? I'm guessing you've lived in the United States before.
Yeah, since I was 18, 20.
DMV, so
20,
okay. What do you think about the art in the United States? I always thought the art in San Francisco was strange. They have this big bow and arrow, and they've got a lot of Yodas around, just weird stuff that I'm not really into. What do you think about the art here?
I think when you look at the energy of art, Nick, the energy doesn't ask you that people like it. Like if you create your bike and I don't like it, so who cares?
Yeah,
I don't have to like your bike. Art doesn't like you. It's art. This is what is twisted, because the art business is all focusing on the product. It's never focusing on the process, like what we talked about, making motorcycles and fixing them up. And that's what the value is. That's the human value, your camaraderie, you're helping each other out, you're creating together a symphony, basically, you know, that bike. And that is the value. The product is just the symptom of that conversation. It's just, this was created by the conversation that I had with my friends, with my unseen friend, you know, with my non-physical.
sure.
Like when you're sleeping, you're not physical, so you're not aware, you know. So, and the same is when you have saying, "Oh my God, I'm going to do a podcast," and then you say, "Well, how am I going to do it? I'm going to put that flag up," and then you keep saying, "Oh, I'm going to put my bike in the back," and then you do it. You know, you constantly and alter it. You know, it's not going to look at the same as you probably started, because you tweak it more to your energy till you and you change the format and whatever. So the creation process is really valuable, because you learn when you do another project, not a podcast or another podcast, you know shortcuts, because you know, I did this with this, I'm not going to do that with that. So this is the awareness that this creation gives you. The creation gives you unbelievable awareness. And I really since I wrote this book, I dove so deep in and said, you know, we do a big mistake. We're focusing on the product, and it's basically a market. It's like a Walmart for art products. That's what the art world is. It's not about Nick and Michael having a great time creating something. It's all about, so what are you creating? And then the system judges you and say, I think you guys are the greatest artists, or you're the worst artists, or you're not artists at all. So you're always depending on somebody else, just, you know, saying it's arty. That's not the purpose of art. The purpose of art is it wants to be created and exposed. So if you create it and expose it to your friend, that's enough. That's enough. That should be satisfying. And the icing on the cake is you sell it. You get an exhibition. You get, that's the icing on the cake. You get accolades. It's like you're building a bike. And all of a sudden people say, hey, I want that in my show. Can you show your bike there? Can you go drive with us? And so people like your creation. And I think that's the icing. And we in the society have that odd thing. We think we need to be all like Elon Musk. We need to be all like Jeff Bezos. And the art is the same thing. There's the 1 or 2% on top, and everybody compares themselves to them. They need to be that. But they just show us what's possible in, you know, like, why do people not saying, I want to be the best chess player in the world? That's what they are. I mean, they are, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are in the monopoly game that we all play, economy. They are the chess masters, and we don't have to be them. We can be, you know, having enough. We don't need to have 10 cars. We need to don't have a yacht. We can be happy with just having a motorcycle and having friends and hanging out and being fulfilled. You know what I mean? Is being fulfilled versus being successful. Successful is hitting a goal, surpassing a goal, and and being famous and being notoriety and everything. So every time you come into system, art becomes a product, and everything else becomes a product. And that makes us sad and sick, because we all compare ourselves subconsciously with that. We need to be like that, and 99% of people are not like that, but we think that's the standard.
So now, do you think, talking about like public art, so
Yeah.
there's, obviously successful pieces of public art, like let's say the Eiffel Tower. Do you think these public pieces of art play a role in I would say, the successfulness of a city, not just economically or monetarily, but
Paris.
it brings that feeling and actually helps people to be their best?
It's what it does. Like, Paris is the most photographed image for a city. So the Eiffel Tower that you mentioned was good mentioning, because that is the most photographed image of a city. What it is the art. It's not that Eiffel Tower fits to France. I don't particularly think it has. If you put it in anywhere else up, it's fine. It's in Las Vegas, they have a little version, and it's fine too. Yeah. So, but what it does, I think, it was at that time when they built it, it was monstrous. It was like the first Disneyland,
Yeah.
Wow, what is this? And so they became famous having this structure, and they had it in all the pictures because it looks different. It just is a contrast. Every city looks the same,
Yeah.
but France had, boom, there's the thing. Like London has the London Bridge. That's not an artwork, but
No.
the Eiffel Tower is, and it does a tremendous help. That's the power of art, because it shows you that you can recognize when it becomes an icon. Say, it's very hard to create, knowingly, because I don't think they knew that that's got to be the most photographed image ever. Yeah. But I think when something becomes an icon, like the Mona Lisa, it's an icon too. It surpasses everything. When an art piece becomes an icon that people instantly recognize, that is very powerful for a system. It doesn't really have any meaning, but for the system of Paris, it's important because everybody recognizes that, not as Spain, not as Italy, but as Paris, as France. Yeah. And that's a brand name. Paris is a brand name. It's a system. It's France, and it's the city of France, the main city of France, and it's a branding, basically. It's like you making a Mercedes star. You cannot even forget the Mercedes star.
No,
the Mercedes star will be in your brain, in your mind all the time. And it does something. Like your bull taco. The bull taco, I think, was a beautiful design, and all them bikes looked really unique and great. And there was Montesa too. That was the competitive brand to Bultaco, another Spanish bag. But Bultaco was the thing. It was just the name, the hand with the number one and with the yellow glove. It was just a beautiful artwork that connected with a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
craftsmanship. They had beautiful craftsmanship back then.
Yeah.
Craftsmanship is something that's been lost on our generation. Line work, for instance.
Yeah.
You have to build stuff the right way. Everybody's looking at your work, and craftsmanship is something that is really, really stressed in line work. We have square washers. If you build a pole and your washer's a diamond, everybody's going to see who built that pole. And, I think that's something that's been lost. You mentioned Da Vinci earlier, a couple years ago. there was a painting. I believe it was a Da Vinci painting
Yeah.
that was damaged, and they had a bunch of people go through it and repair it and do all
Mhm.
sorts of stuff. What did you think about that painting? Is that still a Da Vinci, or is that something else?
You mean the one that they called, what was it?
I don't remember the name of it. I should have looked up the name.
All these things that Michelangelo or Da Vinci, or things that they find, the last Raphael. They just found a Raphael, and there was a big article in the Guardian about it, and they were invested. This was interesting because I just read that about this painting. They found a Raphael. A person went to in a thrift shop, found that, and then he got certain people to say this is a Raphael. This looks like totally. And other people say, oh, it was an understudy that fixed it for. It was from the thing. So still a lot of money, but not the
Sure.
original. So now that guy had created a fund where you put in money and you literally betting like on a stock that this is going to go up.
Yeah.
So the people paid money in it. And now it got so, because I think there's $500 million or something already that they found, and it's all in a fund, so it's not going to be touched. But the thing is, now everybody plays a game, and see, this is the system game. Everybody wants to make money. So now the curators and the appraisers can't make themselves saying, is it yay or nay? And then if they run it through AI and everything, and it's always still in limbo. And while it's in limbo, it makes more money. More people say, I got to be a part of this, because if that found out there's a Raphael. And I think with the Mundi or something, is that what you mentioned, right? Something Mundi.
Yeah.
That is, okay, there was a major thing with that. This is crazy. They said that is Da Vinci, or whatever it was, Michelangelo, Da Vinci was. And then the Prado, the Spanish National Museum, I think it's the National Museum, said, no, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody got cold feet and pulled away. And then, but still a sheikh from Middle East bought it, and it doesn't be availed. They bought it. It's underhanded. They think. But it's so sad that you see there's a product and you see it's all manipulated. It's not like Da Vinci doesn't give a shit if his painting is real or not. He's dead,
Yeah.
So it's just using people jumping on other people's. Yeah, I said it's like me saying, "Oh, it wasn't but your podcast. I'm all that because it was on your podcast." It's bullshit, So it's the thing that other people, they don't think they can be creative, and that they hook into something that is special, and it becomes all with that Raphael. I see it becomes all that thing. There's no authority basically, because they found on both paintings on the whatever I said, the Da Vinci painting and on the Raphael, they found the wood was correct, the canvas was correct, the painting was correct, the paint was correct. So where the discrepancy is did he physically do it or not? And they can't, and it's so sad, because who cares if he did it? If you like that painting, buy the painting, pay whatever you want to pay. If he doesn't paint, I mean, are you painting because it was from him, or are you buying the painting because you love it? That's, I never understand, because then you see it's all business diced. It's not, I'm paying $1 million for your bike because I love it, or for your painting because I love it. I don't want to live without it. I want to put it in my living room and it fits perfectly. I have the money. Here's $1 million. Now I understand that art lover, but I don't understand. Oh, did he do it? Did he not do it?
Yeah.
And it's just a tension for what it could be, a potential.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So there's actually companies now that allow you to buy stock in expensive and famous paintings, which I think is interesting. What do you think about art as a store of value? Is that something people should have? Should they go out and buy a nice piece of art that they know is going to appreciate into the future, or do you think that's a bad move?
I think it's not good or bad. Anything you want to do, if it fulfills you, the human part, like biking fulfills us, right? Talking here that fulfills us, you should do. I think I had the idea a long time ago. Also, it came through me too, that I think because the artists are all poor, that people can invest in an artist by buying shares of a painting. So if it costs me to do $1,000 painting, but it costs me a lot of time, with the canvas and the color and all this, but it cost me, like, let's say, even at $20 an hour, it would cost me a thing. So my to do this painting would be, for my cost, $6,000.
Sure.
I know I cannot get $6,000 for a painting, because if I'm a new artist, I don't know, nobody knows me. And I think the fact that there is a company that actually can separate that and say, you can buy shares. Remember, nobody would take me if they don't think there's something behind it, right?
Yeah.
So the people have a feeling, they say, this might be a good artist. This guy's fresh. There's something about it that's new. And I think it's a great idea that you put money in that for a fresh artist. What you explained was established artists. So I have a chance to go get a Warhol, to buy a part of Warhol's. There's a Maryland that have just found, or that somebody sells it. The company buys it and makes money by selling shares of that. And I think that's fine too. If you want, but it's a business thing. It's not a love thing. My part would always be human related. You love that artist, you love what you do, and you want to be part of it, and say, I can't afford to get in with more than $1,000, and I can buy part of that $6,000 painting. And if it goes up, my 1,000, rises. And then if they sell it, I get my shares paid out with a win.
So what do you think about NFTs? NFTs were big a couple years ago. What do you think? Is that actual art? Like, I don't know. I just actually last week bought three paintings and another piece of artwork for my house. And I was thinking about it. Like, I wouldn't be against having a screen up in my house with something, but I just, typically the art styles that these things aren't my thing. But what do you think about NFTs?
I wrote a big article on NFTs. We can, if you want, I send it to you and you can put it in this episode, a PDF. I find NFT is a business. It's a business. It's not, because I say today, if you have $1,000 or $5,000, you can literally, if you go to art fairs, you go to galleries, you go and look at the market, what's out there. You look at Instagram, like you said, Instagram, right?
Yeah.
You go at all these artists that are out there, you get your house full of art where you walk into this house and people fall on their ass because they're so impressed by the art.
Yeah.
They're not a Warhol. They are not, Ellsworth Kelly or something, but it's impressive art. There's so much impressive art. And the market is so stupid. It's just that little small 1% of painters that are worthy, that you can freaking say, I have a Warhol at home. You can get Warhol looking art that looks like it if you like that style, but you don't like that style. You like the name. And that's the whole thing. That's the ego. So you can throw that right away. You like the name. If you cannot buy an art that looks like Warhol, I'm not saying a copy. I'm saying that looks similar to Warhol because you like that style, you're fraud to yourself. You're frauding yourself because you say, if it's not a Warhol, then I'm not interested. I'm not paying anything for it. And I say with $1,000, God, $300 buys you a lot. Buys you one or two pieces that are, and you love them. Yeah. And you know what? There's something that happens with every artist, in every art. You buy something and you love it, but your soul digests the information. It's just information that comes out. And after 2 years, you cannot look at it anymore. And if you would have spent all this stuff, you have a hole, but you have a wall at home, but you're just like, the Warhol became a wormhole because it sucks your energy. You paid all this money and it doesn't do what it did before because your ego is not hyped up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just, oh my God, you can look at it 100 times. It's like buying a Ferrari, a brand new Ferrari. You get the Ferrari, and after it's like with a bike, even after so many, it's just a bike. It's still, is superior in the experience.
Sure.
But with a car, it's going to be, you have a Toyota before, it becomes just a nice looking Toyota afterwards. It just has Ferrari on it. And that's the whole shtick of systems. They sell you, said, if it should be every day sunny. If it's not, we sell you a Ferrari, a pill, or a face job. And then you do all this stuff. And I was good for like 2 months, but now I'm depressed again. I say, okay, then we sell you a Lamborghini or a bike or whatever. You buy that and they say, oh, I'm still, it helped a little bit, but I'm still and say, okay, there's something inherently wrong with you. And which is bullshit. It's just a norm that humans get tired of things when they haven't. If they don't work on their bikes and they don't have a love of things, there is no, whatever you put in, it's like a relationship. If you don't put anything in a relationship, you just want to get. What's the point?
Yeah, I ended up buying just a couple of things that I liked that were cheap and not famous, and I don't think they even have a name on them, but I liked it, and that's what I got. And I think that's
and you give them away. You see, this is the great thing. You can give them away when you or throw them away. It doesn't really matter. There's too much art out anyway.
So when I was looking, every once in a while something would catch my eye, and I go, is that interesting? Is it weird? What is going on with this thing? And you look a little closer and you find out that it's AI generated art.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this?
You want to do it? Yeah, let's talk about NFT.
I think it's kind of soulless in a way. Like it's provocative, but also soulless.
You pick something up, and I think you're not. I tell you what you're picking up. NFT is a scam. It's not a scam of a bad thing, but it's a scheme to get people to invest in cryptocurrency.
Sure.
If I make a big thing and say that's the latest thing, like cryptocurrency was, it's you want, the difference between the dollar, which is a world currency, right? And the whole world uses the dollar. So when the power of the dollar is everybody believes in that currency. It's a paper. It isn't worth. But to try to do, and the dollar started with being covered by gold and all that stuff. So there's a long history as a value, and more people accept it as the dollar still, but it's more and more money because it's not covered.
It's a social construct.
Yeah, social construct.
A fiat currency and a social construct.
Yeah. And you cannot do by hyping something. I mean, I cannot tell you when you talked about NFT, when you said, and I wasn't against, I'm not against anything creative, I'm for.
Sure.
But I'm saying the beauty of any piece of artwork, is that it's human generated. There's a soul of a human that created that,
Yeah. NFTs, there's a means to an end, but there's still something there.
Yeah, there's something there, but the thing is, in NFT, it's basically, and this is what I found out. So what is the problem? They made a hype with something that the provenance of a painting is everything. So meaning you were the creator, and then I know all the owners afterwards, and I have a sheet of paper, and it's this, the gallery signs it, the next dealer signs it, so I can exactly see where your painting was. All the famous paintings.
Yeah.
When the thing with NFTs, they said, okay, it doesn't matter if you're a famous artist or not. You have a digital provenance with chain. We have to link. What is called chain? What is the thing called?
Blockchain.
You have a blockchain secured provenance that you can alter. Number one, so you can't alter the sale, but you can alter, for example, if there's information about the artist and I want to update the information of the artist, you can do that. So I can put a chip in everything. They have microchips is so small, so you just go over with the scanner and it brings all that stuff up.
Sure.
So it is basically supposed to be a plagiarism, non-failure plagiarism.
Yeah.
But where is plagiarism only valid? On famous people. So it defeats the purpose, because for me, if somebody buys my art, I give them an authenticity, sign of authenticity, and I sign on the canvas as literally so that people see, and I sign it in front with my name. I'm in the back. I make the whole thing. My whole signature.
Sure.
And there's no threat that this will be copied or anything. So it's kind of selling you a lie. It's selling you, okay, you have all the provenance. So if the provenance of something that isn't worth anything, in the marketplace, that doesn't help me. If something is really valuable, so that's why some people like Damien Hirst and others did some NFT stuff, because and they were probably very much encouraged by the crypto money to do that, because when the big, and then I don't know if you know what Damien Hirst did. He said, so he did these huge original paintings. He cut them into little pieces, and then he numbered them. So it's a freaking nightmare. He numbered them, signed them, he put them into nice packaging, whatever. And then he pulled them out one time and said, okay, that's 10,000 issue of 10,000 of his paintings. You can choose to have the painting original, that little strip, which will be sent to you via FedEx or something.
Yeah.
If you don't choose by that date, we make an opening burning all this real, and you get the number. So you only have an NFT of that painting. Most people, chose the original, obviously, and not the NFT. Some people did because they were speculating, I have an NFT. But basically, this is what I always say. It's the personal, this guy, I know this guy is my buddy, is my friend, and he did this, and that's why I like his art,
So, all right. So you as an artist, like, you have influences. You look at these paintings, you watch these TV shows and movies, you listen to this music, and after ingesting all of that, you create something. You could argue that AI is doing the same thing. You could also argue that anything it does is plagiarism.
AI is plagiarism, it's pure plagiarism, because we are endless. So AI can only generate whatever humans put in. Mm-hmm. So AI is doing, AI is taking patterning that they find. Let's say you, me, and 5 others, and they see what is common with those 5 people, and what is different. And then they sample that, they put that into major databases. For example, they did 2 billion or more, even 2 billion for the ChatGPT, for the what you call it, the base of it. They scanned in 2 billion photos on the web, and then they sorted them out: cat, dog, wood, fire, whatever. And the problem with this is the recognizability, because I put in ChatGPT hello, exclamation mark, and I got 9 kitties. I got a male face with a mixture between a male face and a kitty. I got a female kitty. I said, what the fuck? It's all cats. I didn't even say kitty.
Yeah.
They gave it away already. So I said, why would that be? Because it is hello is connected with Hello Kitty, with that. Sure. And so in the realm of AI, Hello Kitty is more important. A character that is artificial is more important than humans, because it is more relevant in the in the realm of AI.
Yeah.
Now, I believe that it takes all this stuff. The problem with AI, I think, with the plagiarism is, if AI was probably did it already, scanning all my paintings that are on online, they cannot uninstall it. So if you win against an AI company, and you say, hey, you stole it, and now I see my hands, for example, or whatever, that are very typical to me.
Yeah.
I see all these paintings. It can uninstall it. See this, because it's self-learning. So once it's scanned it puts it in wherever it belongs, hand, feet, eyes, blah, 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 separates it out. And that's the problem. And also it guarantees that it doesn't plagiarize, that it doesn't just copy it.
Yeah.
So by separating it, but you cannot pull it out. I cannot say, you know what, I never get permission. I want to pull out all my paintings. It's impossible. Once it's in, it's in. So that's one big thing we need to think about.
Yeah.
And where are the humans in that? Where's my reward?
And these things are going to have baked in biases based on who's programming them to do what.
Absolutely.
And if you've got some, big corporation, let's say, let's take Campbell's Soup, for example.
Yeah.
Warhol, back in the day, Campbell's Soup didn't have, the ability to really scan the market and find out what was going to be good. Now you've got these AIs. So a different company can scan the market, find out what is going to sell, pump that into an AI, and then bang, you've got your image. I think I think we're going to go into, like, architecture's really gone downhill in the last couple of decades. Some of these cities just look like crap now. You go to some of these cities and it's just nothing but windows and hard edges and absolutely no thought.
No soul,
Whatever. Whoever designed this designed it for functionality only. There's absolutely no, beauty into it at all.
Yeah.
So one of your books, you painted, what was it, like 400 paintings?
300 paintings in 3 days.
Why did you do that?
I just wanted to see what happens. Because I could never fit into systems or anything, I'm always questioning. I'm very curious on how things work, because how can I live when I don't know? If I fit in a system and I'm an accountant, I don't have to worry. I do my job and go home and whatever. But since I never fit into, I figure everything out. And I was thinking, I want to see what happens if I challenge myself, not with telling everybody. I just sit. I took 3 days, turned off everything, no internet, no nothing. And I said, I'm going to make 300 painting. I got 300 pieces of paper, cut them, set them all up, put them on a stack, got all the paints that I have. And I should have made photos of that because it was crazy. I had all these paints and mixed everything. And I did. And I learned so much. I can't tell you what I learned from it. It's just, I thought I know, perhaps, I'm an abstract painter. I can't do representation because of but even with the abstract, you know what you paint. You say it's yellow, it's going to be yellow, and there's going to be a red thing and a green thing. I thought I'm going to be 50 paintings that going to be where I know what to do.
Yeah.
And I say after the 50, it's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
And the first day, after I had about 100, I didn't even have 100. The first day was actually really slow. I had to get going. And then I thought, all right, we'll see. And it's good that I didn't tell anybody, because perhaps it didn't work out. So then the next day was better. Good start, because I think I slept and my unconscious worked on me. So I had a lot of stuff to put out. And then the third day, I had 120 left on the third day. Mm-hmm. So it was more. And I thought, my logic told me, I will run out. I will not know what to paint. and I don't want to paint something I painted previously. I wanted to do it differently. And I found that it really opened me up, that sleeping 2 nights and then recuperating and having an intent on finishing it. I can tell you the last 50 were hard to do, hard from a physical, like, okay, what I'm doing, I know, I don't know. You have no choice of believing or thinking, or this is great, aesthetic or not. You just paint. And I tell you, the last 50 are probably the most interesting paintings that I have, because I opened literally the channel, instead of what you logically, the system tells you, oh, you have only so much in you and then it's out. It's actually reversed. The more you do, the more you have that conversation that we talked about, with your podcast. The more you have that conversation, the clearer the conversation, the clearer your artwork gets, and your style gets. And actually, the last one were the best one. And I photographed them all, and then a title. I did the same with the title. I wanted to look at, once I had it all nice, in a file. I went to everything and like next one, and whatever came in, I wrote a title. And I literally had 1 or 2 hiccups where I said, what could that be? Nothing comes, but it was so smooth. I can't even tell you. They just named them.
Sometimes on the motorcycle, you just get into a zone and everything starts falling into place. You kind of get tunnel vision and everything out to the sides kind of disappears, and you lose track of time, and you don't realize how tired you are, how far you've gone, or anything like that. And that's when you do your best riding. It's very hard to find that and create it artificially. It just kind of happens or it doesn't. And some racers try for years to just get into that spot for a couple of laps in the main event or in the moto, and they can't find it. Sometimes on the practice track, they're going to be just as fast or faster than the guys that they're riding with. They have the same trainers, they ride in the same places, and some days these guys will just go out and smoke everybody on practice and then show up to the main event on Sunday and get 10th place. And it's about getting into that zone and finding it, and it's a tough deal to do.
It's tough because we are all conditioned to always be in a man construct. I want to win this race. Fuck winning this race. Race the best that you can. I say you don't have to be the best of anything. Just show up as the best you that you can be. I'm not the best guest. I'm not the best podcaster. I'm not, but I'm showing up the best I can. Not the best that you think I am, not everybody else thinks I am, but the best I can. And if you show up as the best you can, you're good. You're good. People remember that. And you create more and more magic moments because you're not worried about what's going to be. Are we going to have a lot of people listening to it? Have we have a lot of likes? Who cares? The value that's created is right now, you and I.
And I think that's a perfect way to get out of here. Michaell, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I will see you next week. Good night.
See you.